welcome to Ring the Damn Bell. Tonight I have a very special guest with me, a professional wrestler on the independent scene. We're going to be talking about the independent scene, how he got into professional wrestling, and where he hopes to go. Before I introduce them, before I introduce him, I want to remind everybody that FanFest 3, the weekend of May 16th and 17th, is going to be in St. Louis. And guys, you need to get your tickets now before it sells out. There's so many great legends that's going to be there. We're talking about Devon Dudley, Kevin Von Erich, Baby Doll, the Rock and Roll Express, the Boogeyman. I could keep going on and on and on about the amazing legends that's going to be there that you're going to be able to meet, talk to. Please get your tickets now. This is such a great event that I'll be driving 12 hours with my wife to go there because of how excited and because of all of these superstars and the legends that's going to be there. To get your tickets, just go to sicw.org. Again, that's sicw.org. Get those tickets, guys. You will have an amazing weekend. I guarantee you that. Now, let's get on to my guest, a professional wrestler, like I said, who's on the independent scene, a man that I absolutely love his look. He is RBJ. What's going on, my friend?
How you guys doing today? How you doing, man?
Man, I am doing good. We are finally into spring here in Minnesota. We're getting 70-degree weather, almost 80-degree weather. I cannot be more excited. But let's talk about some professional wrestling. How long have you
Okay.
been wrestling?
Um, July of this year will be totally of 3 years, but the way I break it down is the first year I started training to become a pro wrestler was in 2022. And I was training at a school in Las Vegas called Future Stars of Wrestling. It goes by FSW. A lot of people have came from that school. Wrestlers like Chris Bay, Carrison Cross, Solo Sokoa, Zoe Starks. What's another one? LA Knight. So a couple people have came from that school, like Hammerstone also. So I was trained there for a long time. I started wrestling. I debuted of July 2023 at the school, and then I just started training. Ever since then, I've been wrestling for like almost 2 years now. But so far as training, my training, I was trained by Thin Bodie, if you guys know him. Thin Bodie's my
Yeah.
coach, Kenny King, Remy
Okay.
Marcel, couple coaches like that. So those are my coaches. I've been training there for a long time, and I finally made my debut. I originally made my debut at one of Sim Bodie's Taco Fest shows.
Okay.
And so, because I want to symbol to the students, and he was like, "If you got your gear, you can come." Unfortunately, he was going to put me in a battle royale, but the battle royale didn't happen. So he said I was already there, so he put me in a match with two of his other best students, and I ended up going over in that match, and I did so well. It was just like in front of some, like regular Taco Fest people, and they were
Right.
just like, "Oh my god," And he put me over in that match, and ever since then, I just been like, "Yeah, Coach Bodie's my coach dad for the rest of my life."
Nice. So, and I always love asking this question because it's so surprising and interesting to me that the answer to this question you would think would be the same, but it's not. Walk me through your wrestling training. Tell me about when you first got there, and what you expected it to be, and the reality of what it was. And also talk me through if there was times that you were like, man, I just can't get it. I don't know if it's meant for me.
Okay, well, I can answer all of those. So,
Uh,
I would say this. I remember the first. It's actually a crazy, sad story. I would say, back in 2020, that's when I first went to FSW actually, and I didn't have the money to go there. But my coach told me to. Well, I was talking to the promoter at the time. The promoter name is Joe DeFalco, and he was telling me he was like, "You can sit down and watch, training if you want to." So I was watching Sim Bodie at the time. He was training, and he had all these guys in the ring. He had people like Damian Drake. He had people like Freya the Slayer. He had if you know who Freya the Slayer is, she's from OVW, and all of them. And I was looking like, man, I really want to do this. It's so fun. And so I had my money ready to go, and my bank account got hacked. So I couldn't even
Oh,
get a chance. It was yeah, it got hacked to the point that I couldn't even like participate in the ring. I couldn't even do anything. So after that had happened, unfortunately, good things happened. 2 years later, I actually decided to want to go because I saw AEW. What was it? Double or Nothing, the one with CM Punk beat Adam Page
mm,
for the AEW title.
yep.
I saw that match and I was just like, it's time for me to actually do this now. Like I can't watch no more. And I saw that live and I was like, I
Right.
have to do it now. So I'll never forget, like it was Thursday. I walked up there. I couldn't get in the ring yet because they was like, I haven't get the money. I haven't signed the waiver, so I couldn't get in the ring yet. When I finally gave the money to get in the ring, they were telling me how to roll. I was like, I can finally do this, and I was like, oh my god, this is tricky. You had to learn the footwork. You have to learn how to properly stand up from the roll. You have to properly learn how to get upright because if you don't, you can mess your back up. You can mess your leg up. You can mess a lot of stuff up. And I was just like, oh my god, I hope I just want to do it right. And the first thing they taught me how to do was a bump, of course, because
Hmm.
that's like the most thing you have to learn how to do is a bump. And I remember I couldn't get my legs up correctly. I was just
Mm.
like, it was that was the most craziest thing. And they was I never forget somebody was yelling at me like, get your damn legs up. You're not doing your legs right. Get your legs up. And I was like, okay, okay, oh, sorry. And at first I thought I'm used to being yelled at when it comes to competitive sports because I played basketball growing up. So I played
Mhm.
professional. I played sports before, so I'm used to it. It didn't get to me, but I was used to it. I finally got the hang of it. Of course, it took me like a good couple weeks, but I finally got the hang of it. And I was like, thank you, I can do it now. And I finally got the rolls right. I finally got my bumps right. And a month into training, I kid you not, a month into training, everything went well. And right in the middle of that second month, I tore a muscle in my
Oh.
pelvis and all because I tried to do a tiger roll and I never done one before. And the first time I did a tiger roll, I pulled the muscle in my pelvis and I was out for like 2 months. And
Wow.
that bothered the hell out of me because I was just like, I really want to wrestle. I don't want to miss no opportunities. I don't want to miss none of this. And 2 months later, I came back from injury and it was a rhino seminar.
Mm.
And
And
TNA was in town.
RBJ, let me
Yeah, yeah.
interrupt real quick, and I'm sorry, and we'll go back to
No,
what
go
you
ahead.
had. But for the fans who may see this, who may not exactly know what a tiger roll is, explain
Okay.
that.
Okay, a tiger roll is pretty much like it's a forward roll that you extend. It's pretty much like it's a front roll, but you're extending your body while doing it. If you perfect way I could say a tiger roll is a lot of luchas do it. If you
Hmm.
ever look at lucha libres, Rey Mysterio does it a lot. Sammy Guevara he does it a lot, and Ricochet does it a lot all the time. So it's pretty much like the perfect way you'll see somebody do a tiger roll is when somebody does a leapfrog and
Hmm.
then they'll roll over their back and open their legs, and a person would jump through them. They'll jump through their legs and roll. That is a tiger roll. That is
Right
what a tiger
now,
roll is.
it this particular day, whenever you attempted to do it for the first time, was this a move that you really wanted to learn how to do? So you went to your coaches, or was it your coaches was like, "Hey, RBJ, we want to teach you how to do a tiger roll."
It was. I would say it's the second one. The coach
Coach.
because apparently, and when you in wrestling school, they teach you how to do all the basic moves, no matter what your body type is, no matter where how tall, how short, how wide, how skinny. They teach you these basic roles. They teach you these basic things in wrestling because when you ever want to get signed by AEW, WWE, TNA, MLW, any of these contracts, like New Japan, they want to. They look at stuff like that. They look at how you properly roll, how you properly take a bumps because they can care less how good you are in the ring. They
Mm,
care about the small little things, how good you are in the ring. Because anybody can do a Canadian destroyer, anybody can do a
mm,
suplex, anybody can do that when you get learn how to become a wrestler. But they look at your footwork, they look at how you carry yourself, they look at your mannerisms, they look at stuff like that in the ring. They learn about the small things because the small things will make up for the big things that you're good at. And so that's what the coaches always tell us. They like, we don't care how big you are, we don't care how small you are, you need to learn how to do this. Because what if they tell you when you get to the school? What if you talk to one of the trainers at WWE and they'd be like, I want you to do a tiger roll, and you tell the trainer, I was never taught how to do that, and they go like, why you at this? So why you at this rehearsal? You never got taught it. It's stuff like
right,
that.
right,
So
right.
that's how it
So
is.
And before we go back to you coming back after that injury, um, how I imagine when you first started, you must have got had bruises and out on your body, and you had to be sore. How long was it in your training before you started getting those calluses on your body where you wasn't getting bruised and you wasn't so sore anymore?
It took me about at least good, I want to say a good 4 months because my body, it's been a long time since I've done anything athletic. So for me to get back and, do something that I'm really good, for me to achieve another dream, because I'm so
Mhm.
used to playing basketball, I'm used to playing football, I'm used to playing running track. So I'm used to those, when you're out in the field, you got to learn how to do all of that. But when you come into wrestling, my body had to get adjusted to it again. So I would say it still kind of bothers me. So sometimes you would get hurt, and it'd be like you would hit yourself on, say you hit yourself on a ring post. You're like, okay, it's not fine, but you'll feel it the next day because your
Right,
body's not used to hitting metal. Your body's not used
right.
to getting hit with the metal, and so it'll bother you. So I had to learn that for a while. It took me a while. I limped a couple times. It gets your body has to get used to it. That's why they always tell you to take care of yourself after practice. They tell you to take
Mhm.
like cold baths or ice Epsom salt in the tub, stuff like that. Because your body is your money maker, and if you
Right.
can't perform in the ring, you're not going to make any money. So that's how they always reportedly tell us to take care of yourself after practice, before practice, during practice, always. That's the most main important thing. So I'd say about 4 months, how long it took me to get back into that.
So after you did this tightrope, excuse me, and you injured yourself, this was your second injury. So your second injury,
First injury,
or
first injury.
your first injury. Did you have any doubt started creeping into your brain after that first injury? Like, oh man, I'm still just in training, and now I've gotten injured by doing, as you call, one of the basic moves. What was your mindset when you were injured like that?
It was mostly like, well, one thing about me, I've never been a quitter. I will definitely
Mhm.
say that. So I told myself, like, next time just be careful. That
Right,
I was telling myself, just be careful next time because I did have doubts. I was like, man, I don't want this injury to hinder me from
right,
becoming a wrestler. I don't want to be like, no, I don't want this to bother me. So I did everything in the world to make it better. I put ice on myself. I took ibuprofen. I did a lot of stretches. Even now, I did a lot of yoga. I did, any type of practice. I did 9-minute yoga every day before work, and I used
yeah,
to work at like 3 o'clock in the morning, get off at like 10 in the morning. And I did that type of workout every day. And it was good because I stand up at work all day. And for you to hurt a pelvis area and
right.
most workplaces you have to stand up unless you got a job you can sit down all day. Unfortunately, I didn't have one of those jobs. So, you have to sit up here and find ways to recover from that. So I would say
Mhm.
my mind was literally like, God, I don't want this to hinder me. I don't want this to happen to me. I want this to get better, and I want to get better. And it definitely did. It definitely helped me get better. And ever since that
Yeah,
injury, I looked at that injury as like a way for me to get better. And I
mhm,
did get better. So that's how I look
right,
at it.
right. So then you said you come back, and you said it was at some type of an event or a show that was being done.
Yeah, it was at a seminar. So Rhino had a seminar. The legendary Rhino had a
Mhm.
seminar, and at one of the schools before we had a show. And at that seminar, I was able to get in the ring, roll around, this and that, yada yada yada. But unfortunately, one of my coaches, they asked us to do practice matches, and
Mhm.
my coach at the time, he was part of the seminar, and my coach told me to sit out because I just came back from injury.
Right,
Now, I would say that definitely hindered me because
right,
now it makes me seem like, wow, I can't get. He was like, you just came back from injury. I don't know how good it is yet, so I don't want to put you in a match where you're not ready to get a thing. And granted, I never been in a match before already. I've never been in
right.
a practice match to begin with, you know.
Yeah.
So, um, besides all of that, the match, I never got a chance to even experience how good I was in the ring.
Mhm.
But when I found out how good I was in the ring was when I actually did get a practice match, and it was against one of Las Vegas' best wrestlers. His name is Nick Xander. Nick Xander is
Okay.
like another wrestler out here from Las Vegas. He's really good to look up. You can check him out and stuff like that. And the coach, it was Sim Bodie and Chris Bay. They sat us down and told us to have psychology in our practice matches. So in the practice match, I was doing good. I did fine. Everything was going good. After the match, they just like, you did everything else well. You just got to work on, this, and this. But besides that, RBJ, you're good. And that's all I wanted to hear.
Right,
That's all I
right.
wanted to hear. And that actually made me realize that okay, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
So I want to go way back into when RBJ was just a little bitty fella.
Okay.
When do you first remember really becoming a professional wrestling fan? And what promotion was it? And who's your favorite?
Okay, well, when I was little, my great grandfather, rest in peace, he was I remember I walked into his room one day, like his room, he was in there watching it. And I remember I saw Doink the Clown and some other guy that was wrestling. I think it was the WCW. I don't I could be wrong, I don't know for sure. But
Yeah,
I do
joint
remember
WWE.
okay, 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 okay. And so I remember I saw a clown, and that's all
Right,
I remember was Doink. And all the reason why I said WCW because that was the first promotion I ever watched as a kid growing up.
right, right.
So I didn't know about WWE till after I saw WCW.
So,
So
right,
my first experience was Doink, which was WWE, but me personally experiencing it as like a fan would be WCW. Now I'm not about that whole this is better than that company, that better than that
right.
company.
Thank
I'm just
God,
a wrestler.
man.
Yeah. I'm just a wrestling fan. I just
Yeah.
love wrestling. I don't care what company it is. I don't care. I just like wrestling. And my favorite I remember when I was young, my favorites growing up was it was Booker T, of course. He's the reason why I have these. He's the reason why when I got older, I said if I ever get older, I want to grow dreads. And I met him. I never met him before. I don't know how I'm gonna act if I ever meet the guy. Even though I'm in the business, I don't know how I would act if I ever meet him. So I'm trying to hopefully the fan in me don't come out, you know. But Booker T was definitely somebody I looked up to a lot growing up as a wrestler. And I remember I looked up to him a little bit. Of course, Stone Cold, of course, The Rock. But when I became an actual like wrestling fan, I remember I saw this Japanese wrestler named Great Muta, and he was so cool. I just like the way he do this, and then he did the little cartwheels in the ring, and then he'll like spit the bisque. I thought that was so cool. I was like, oh my god, who is this guy? This guy's so awesome. So he was Booker T and Great Muta were like some people I really looked up to, as a wrestler. And then the older I got, I started liking more
Right,
wrestlers.
right.
But those two for sure were my two favorite wrestlers growing up when I was younger, looking at
Yeah,
and
and
everything.
as far as the fan coming out, and if you ever meet them, look, I'm 2 years old, so I'm a little bit
Okay.
older than you, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up on a promotion, Mid South Wrestling, and then there was a Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
Well, although this guy was an enhanced talent, for some reason I was always drawn to him, and his name is Bob Cook. And I was
Okay.
able to, I have never met him, was able to speak to him via Facebook and then on the phone. And let me tell you, the fan in me, man, it was dying to come out, but I didn't want to look like, a crazy guy. He's actually
Exactly.
one of my co-hosts now on Tuesdays, which is
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
awesome, so awesome. Um, but my point is, man, never give up on meeting those that you looked up to. And
Yeah,
even if you do, when you do, even if your fandom comes out, it's okay, man, because it's one of those great things. But so
exactly.
you grew up, Doink the Clown, which Matt Bourne, who played the original Doink the Clown, was an amazing professional wrestler.
Exactly. Oh my God.
And yeah, and then WCW, which is the real first promotion that you were really kind of favorite of with Booker T. Um, at what point did you say, I want to do this? I want to become a professional wrestler.
Oh man. It was that ruthless aggression era. I remember like it was yesterday. I remember when I was in school, I was in high school, I had that stereotype where everybody was like, you can play basketball, you want to play football, and this. And I was like, yeah, I want to be a pro wrestler. So I got made fun of like crazy for it, as a kid. And they were like, you want to be a what? Hey, you want to do that? Everybody always like, you want to do that fake stuff? I'm like, okay. After doing it, I'm like, ain't nothing fake about it. I would definitely say that.
Right.
but people
Predetermined, but not fake. Because if it's
exactly,
fake, you wouldn't get injured, man. And professional
exactly.
wrestlers are 100% athletes.
And I try to tell
100%.
everybody that. I try to tell everybody that, at the end of the day, you can't change people's opinion, but at the same time I tell them, this is what I go through for a living and I love it. I freaking
Right.
love it. Well, ruthless aggression will probably be my favorite era. Or maybe would be like I want to be a wrestler. Now I remember it was my 10th grade year in high school because I've been loving wrestling forever. I still love it to this day. Well, of course I do. I became one,
Right.
but like ruthless aggression was that era. I remember watching SmackDown. I didn't. My mom. We grew up poor, so I never got a chance to watch Raw growing up.
Mhm.
But at the time, we had basic cable, and I remember SmackDown came on UPN like every Thursday. And I remember used to because my mom had a curfew. We had to go to bed at 9 o'clock,
Mhm.
so I had to always watch SmackDown like from 8 to 9. And I remember just watching it. Like I remember Kurt Angle, like before John, like Thugonomics Cena, like Edge, some of these guys before they got switched over back to Raw. It was just awesome looking like Brock Lesnar. I thought he was like the best wrestler in the freaking world. Like when I had the video game, I played with Brock Lesnar every single time. I was like, this guy is just a monster. But and then the other wrestler, I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name on your
No, you
podcast or
can.
not, but okay, yeah, like Chris Benoit
You are.
he was one of the wrestlers that I really looked up to. And I used to love what he did in the ring. I even do a German suplex in my matches because of him and Chris Benoit. I felt like they had the best German suplexes I've ever seen in my life. When
Yep.
I used to watch the TV and stuff. And so that's what made me want to do it. And I remember I told my mom one day, I was like, I want to be a pro wrestler growing up. And she looked at me and was like, "Is that you sure you want to do that?" And like my cousins and my uncles, they was just like, "Why do you want to do that? You could be a basketball player." Because I was really good at jumping.
Yeah.
So my vert reach in basketball was 10.5 and a half, and I was just jumping
Wow.
straight up. And I'm 5'7" right now. So
Wow.
I was able to dunk a basketball in junior varsity. And so they wanted me to play ball, and I was like, I don't. I like, I played ball all the way up to my first year in college, and then I just stopped. I was like, I don't feel it no more, and that's what really made me become a wrestler. And I think between that time and then what happened in 2022, all that between that time, a lot of stuff happened in my life. I became a father of two kids.
Mhm.
I was living 3 different states. I was living like all over the place, and I didn't really have my life together at the time. What I wanted to do, I didn't really know what to do. I was a father. I was a new father coming into this world. I know how to take care of my kids. I didn't know what to do after that. And then when I moved to Vegas in 2019, that's when everything kind of like changed for me. I was like, I told God, I'm a really Christian heavy man, so right before I moved here to Vegas, I got in my car at the time and I just cried and I was like, I don't want to start over no more. I just like this is whatever I do in Vegas is going to help me further my career. Whatever I want to do in my life,
Right.
that's the next step. And then when I found out there was even a wrestling school out here to begin with, and it was in 2020 during COVID, and that's when I found FSW. And 2 years later, I started training. I was like, I'm not stopping no more, and I kept going. And RBJ is who RBJ is now. So
Right. So you're talking about, we playing basketball and how you've been able to dunk, even though you're, five, whatever. Has have you used that um in your professional wrestling at
yes,
all?
I have. Yes, I have. Kenny King, King, King. He that's my other coach that's another coach of mine that believed in me also. And I remember we was practicing splashes in the ring one day, and he was telling me that you're good at jumping. Do what you're good at and apply that in the ring. And he taught me how to do a drop kick because he's best friends with Rex Titus. And he
Oh,
showed us how Rex Titus is because he came from ROH and everything.
right.
So he was showing us how perfectly he said that Rex Titus has the best drop kick. He thinks Rex Titus has the best drop kick in the industry. And
Oh,
I told him, I was
right.
like, wow, he's actually kind of right. Because a lot of people I looked at Rex Titus, I look at Randy Orton, I look at Okada, I look at AJ Styles, Chris Bay. All these guys have phenomenal drop kicks. Their drop kicks so good. And I was known, and when my coach taught me how to do the drop kick, and he taught us how to do it, I Kenny King is like almost 6 foot, and I and
Mhm.
my foot touched his chin. That's
Wow.
how that's how high I got up. And ever since then, Kenny was like, do that at all times. I'll say, make your ability. I know you don't want to be a high flyer. I know you don't. But the fact is, you're so good at jumping. Use that to your ability. So You don't have to jump all the time. You don't have to do high flying moves every single time in a ring. But when
Right.
you do it, the crowd will love it because of how good you are at doing it. And I was
Wow.
like, and I never thought about that. I was like, wow, he's right. And then I use that because basketball we have pivot. When you get the ball and you pivot around so you won't travel. We There's a lot of pivoting and there's a lot of pivoting in wrestling. So sometimes
Right.
the coach will be like, Britton, throw a line, you duck it. Like, he'll say like, Britton, throw a line, what's the name? Duck it. And then you turn around and then he watch your footwork while doing that. So I'll throw the line, miss it, and then pivot my foot back. And he was like, where did you learn how to do that? And I was like, I used to play basketball. And Sam was like, do that all the time. That's perfect. Because when a recruiter see you do that, the less steps you take, the less tired you'll get. And I was like, wow, okay. And ever since then, I do that. I apply my basketball abilities to the ring all the time because of that
Right.
reason.
Right. Right.
So
So, is there one in particular thing that you really struggled with within professional wrestling?
a lot. I mean, it's some stuff I still struggle with now. When I first got into the wrestling business, I sucked at selling badly. Like I will
Yeah.
get my ass kicked, and then it's my turn to go, and I would end up forget like I even never got hurt.
Right.
And the coaches be like, Britton, stop doing that. I get you want to, you're hype, you're trying to get the crowd behind you, but the crowd will get behind you more if you feel like if you're getting hurt, because the more they see you getting hurt, they'll be like, "Oh, I like this guy. I want him to win."
Right.
We like, yeah, you want to make them feel sorry for you, and I sucked at that. I was really, really bad at it, and I got criticized about that from my peers, from my coaches, from everybody, and I was just like, and I remember the first person to criticize me really well about it was Ricochet. Ricochet he randomly came to the school one day and he saw me wrestle and he was like, "You have a really good drop kick." I will tell. He's the first thing he said was, "You have a really good
Right.
drop kick. I love it." But then he also said, "You need to work on your selling." And he said, "You're selling good, but your selling isn't. It doesn't make sense because the way you're making it. You got to learn how to sell in levels." And when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, I get it now." So I think my selling is okay now. I think the main thing I got to work on is my psychology in the
Hmm.
ring on what to do, what not to do, how to get people to cheer for you, how to get people to boo you, how to get people to you know get on, how to get people to want to throw something at you at the end of the night. He's like, your job is to your job as a wrestler is to get the crowd behind you, whether you're a good guy or a bad guy. If you
Right.
can't do any of that, if the crowd is quiet, you're not doing your job. And I will say that me being a good guy, I'm good at doing that. I'm actually better at being a good guy than a bad guy because
Wow.
people in the wrestling world say that it's harder to be a good guy than a bad guy
Right.
because you get anybody to hate you. You can just do something stupid, be like, "Screw you guys, I don't like any of you," and they're like, "Oh, we
Right.
don't like you, boo." But to get somebody to like you is even harder. And I just said that I think my coaches just noticed that about me. Everybody said I'm just a natural
Right.
good guy, and I never. I mean, I will say that I think I am, but when I'm in California, I'm a bad guy out there, and
Oh.
I get the crowd to boo me a lot, And then one promotion out there in California, I got booed as a bad guy, and I didn't know how to feel about that. So, like I'm one of those. I like to be a natural heel where I don't care what I'm doing. You need to boo me. I don't want
Right.
to get
Right.
cheered.
Right.
Like I
Right.
don't want to get cheered whatsoever.
Yeah,
So
but I
that's
can
how
see
I am.
you. I can see you though being even though I've never, not really familiar, except for the couple of matches I've been able to find. With you, it seems like you are a natural babyface though, because since this podcast has started, you've not stopped smiling. You're always smiling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a thing that the promoter in North Dakota doesn't like about me. He likes that about me because I made him his face. But when I'm a heel, if you can find the heel videos, I've learned how to use that smile as like a way to hate me, for you to
right,
hate me. I
right,
finally learned how to use it for people to like, oh, I hate this freaky guy. But the thing is, my character is not really meant to be too smile to begin with.
right,
Like
right,
when I first debuted as a wrestler, I was just this generic talented wrestler, and they were just like, "This guy's really good." I had the biker shorts on with the kick pads and the elbow, the wrist tape with the little elbow pad. I had like the little generic looking look, and the look I got now was I've had that mask even before I became a wrestler. So that
Right.
mask what really made everybody like me a lot. So
Right.
when I had that mask, I used it as a way to it's a spirit. And the spirit of that mask is telling me that you're better than what you think you are. And it's
Hmm.
time for you to achieve that goal to be better.
Right.
And the goal of being better was to and the goal of being better was to show that it's time to it's time to bring out what people know that you're capable of.
Hmm.
And then so when I did that, I had a whole little video series going on with me talking to the mask and me picking up the mask when the mask on, like the spirit came out and I dropped it and then I walked away and stuff like that.
Right.
So I had like then I had one video where I sat down, the mask was talking to me and it was telling me once you go this route, you're never going to leave. And so the red on the mask is symbolizes the debut of RBJ.
Hmm.
If that red the red on it is like the mask bit me and it is reminding you that that's who I used to be and this
Right.
is who I am now. So that's why you see the red contacts, the jacket, the mask, the tights, everything about me just looks different than the original RBJ that you
Right.
guys are used to seeing. So that's the reason why I did that. It was like a little I think it was time for me to change who I was because everybody my coaches one of my coaches was like, you're getting popular with the fans, you're getting all of this, it's time for you to show that you're investing into your character to get people to like you more. So that's why I
Right.
did the rebel embracer character, and the rebel embracer character has been working for like almost 2 years now. So
Yeah.
and I debuted it a year ago, but it's been working like crazy right
Right,
now. So
right, right. Well, I tell you, your look, man, is your character is amazing. I absolutely love it.
thank you,
Leo
thank you.
Love Wrestling said that RBJ is here to stay. So,
Thank you, thank you.
so you mentioned the word psychology, right? Now, us wrestling fans, including myself, I've never been a professional wrestler. I've heard about wrestling psychology. I've even read about it, but what does that actually mean? And how does one, you mentioned about, you want to get better at it and understanding it more as far as it comes to the fans cheering or booing you. Um, how do you do that?
Oh man. I think what I do, I go study stuff. At first, like when I was a face, I think I was already just liked because of the fact that I was already liked because of the fact that because of the smile, and people knew me before I became a wrestler. So like I was known in like this video game world called the fighting game community, and I was really good at a game called Tekken, and I had a following base from that. So people knew I wanted to be a wrestler from that. So when I came into the wrestling world and I used what I was already liked with and just used that in wrestling and was like, let me see how that works. And so, I did the little cool moves and this and that. Come on, come on, let's go, stuff like that. So I was like, should I chat? Should I clap? Should I scream? What should I do, to get people to like me and stuff? So as a heel, I told myself that if I become a heel, I don't want to curse whatsoever. I feel like
Right.
I get it that people want to curse. That's the easiest way to get people to hate you. But I
Hmm.
feel like let me try something else to get people to hate me. So what I would do is if I wrestle some kid, like I wrestled a guy and I'll say something generic like, "Oh, this is supposed to be your guys' boy. Well, he's finna get his butt kicked." I'll say
Right.
something like that. Or once I see the crowd cheering him, I look at the crowd and be like, "No, none of that's about to happen now. I don't want to hear none of you guys cheer his name. I'm here. This is my time. Forget that guy." Or like when I wrestled this one guy named his name is Wayne, and he's really good kid. And they had me like and like they had me as a veteran in the match, which is weird to me because I feel like I'm not a veteran. But they made me like control the match, and when you controlling the match as a veteran, that means like you're gonna be the one telling the guy like, "Hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do this for me, yada yada yada." And their job is to just listen and say, "Okay." So as a baby, as a heel, even if you're a baby face, say the heel isn't the one that can charge, then the heel be like, "What's next? What's this? What I got to do?" I'm really good at remembering things. So I think it's psychology wise. What if I get in a ring with somebody who don't remember?
Mm,
That's my job to make sure he doesn't look bad and the match doesn't look crappy because I want it to look professional, like to the point that all of us can fit well and it doesn't look like a shit show out there. I don't want the
right.
fans to be like, oh, he botched. Look at that. There's a botch. There's a botch right there. I knew he botched. I don't want that. I don't
Right.
like that feeling. I don't like being in that situation. Like there's another wrestler that you guys probably seen on the internet. I actually went viral because of this, and me and this guy still cool to this day. Name is Jake Painter. We did a spot a
Oh yeah.
couple years ago where he buckle bombed me by mistake, and I flew out the ring. And but from the way the angle looked, it looked like I fell on my head, and it was on concrete. And so he got a lot of crap for it from like professional wrestlers for all of this and yada yada. And I just see him debut. He had like a little tryout match and debut match on Explosion. He wrestled not Nick Nanoff, what's the brother Nanoff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hollywood. Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
know
yeah.
what you're
See,
talking about.
he wrestled him on there, and I was so proud of him. I was like, bro, I'm so proud of you, man. I really am. Like me personally, I felt like people attacked him because he was confused, scared, he's confused. He just started saying all this random stuff. But at the end of the day, it ain't about him. I just like the fact that I'm proud of him. I just want to say that, and if anything happens, I'm proud of him. If he gets out of season, just know I want him to know that I'm proud of him, and I'm always going to support him no matter what.
Yep,
And I would
yep,
love to get back in the ring with him. But
yep,
so
yep.
far, it's like it's just stuff like that, like it's all about communication. That's what psychology
Right.
is to me. It's
Okay.
communication. It's to like, control a match. Say you get in the ring with somebody who don't have any type of experience or whatsoever. You can go in there and tell them, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. Do this, do
Right.
that. And their job is just listen. I don't, and if they can just listen and go along with it, we'll have matches turn out perfect. And I want to get better at it.
Right.
I think I'm good at it, but I want to be better at it to the
Right.
point that I don't even have to talk. You can just do it.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
all I want.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how good I want to get.
And Bullet said much love to you, Bullet Bronson. And then he also helped us out. Thank you, Bullet. I appreciate it. Ryan
Oh yeah.
Nemeth, Hollywood Ryan Nemeth from AW's with TNA now, I believe, with his brother, Dolph, the WWE guy, Dolph Ziggler, who goes
Yeah,
down
yeah.
by his name. But so, tell me about your very first match
Ooh.
and how nervous
Okay.
were you from it?
So it was at Symbodi's Taco Fest show. I had to wrestle two of these guys who's been doing it for like almost 8 years.
Wow.
Their names are Damian Drake and Vandegrift, and they had a tag team called the Unguided. They're multiple time tag team champions. They actually just won a tag team championship recently at another promotion I saw
Yeah,
on
and
social media.
Drake is pretty well known
Yeah, 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 yeah,
out
yeah.
there. Yeah,
Oh yeah, Damon Drake is
yeah,
really known out here in Vegas. He actually wrestled Chris Bay in his debut match on TNA.
yeah.
So yeah,
Is and before you go to the first match, I apologize.
okay,
Do
okay.
you happen to know a wrestling manager that goes by the name of Triple M?
Triple M.
Triple Triple
Triple
M.
M.
Yeah.
I never heard of it. But
Okay.
if I look it up, I probably know him by
Yeah.
face and probably not by
Yeah.
name. Wait, I never heard of that guy. Sorry.
I was just asking. He no, it's fine. He's mainly out of California, but he does shows every now and then in Vegas. Friend of mine, great guy. Yeah, look him up, man.
Okay, okay,
He's a wealth of knowledge. He really is. Tell him Kevin
okay.
told you to look him up. But going back to that
I
first
got you.
match, especially against a guy like Damian Drake, that pretty big name, especially among the indie scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, what did that feel like even walking to the ring?
Oh man, it was cool. It was man. I'll never forget like it was yesterday. Like even my roommate, the guy Leo, he was there when that happened, and it was just it was I was nervous. I really was because I remember we was calling the match in the back, and it was like, okay, RBJ, you do this, you do this. This is what you're gonna do in this part. What you want to do right here, and then you want to do this part right here. And I was like, okay, I can remember that. And then it was like, when it gets to this part in the match, you do this, you do this. I had to listen to them. I was just kind of worried because I was like, I don't want to. At one part of the match, if you see the video, you see me slowly trying to get in the ring to break it, and I'm like, I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this. But you can slowly see me get back out the ring like it never happened. So I was like, okay, cool. But man, the nerves in my body that day was like, I'm about to get in the ring with so many people. But the coach didn't even want me to go out the entrance way. He wanted me and my tag team partner at the time to jump over the barricade and attack these guys from behind. So the way it looked on the video, it looked it so cool. It looked it cool how we did it, but at the same time, I was like, oh my god, that was so. It was nerve wracking because at first I was scared, but once I jumped that barricade, all that went away. And like all that nervous, all the jitters, all that just went completely away. And, and when I did my very first when the move I did my finishing move, I finished one of my finishing moves is a shining wizard, and I
Oh,
named it and I named it Wing Zero after my best friend who passed away, who never going to get a chance to see me wrestle, but he
right.
passed away like back in 2014. And when he died, I named it. I said, if I ever become a wrestler, I want to name it after him, and I did. And even though he named himself after an anime character from a show called Gundam Wing, but I
Mhm.
spell it differently from that anime show, so I don't get sued. So,
Right.
so like his like when I did that finisher move, it was just a full circle moment because I remember I used to play a video game Tekken, and one of the characters that's one of his moves he do in the game is a shining wizard, and I'm like, man, I went from shining wizarding people in the video game to shining wizarding people in real life, like. That's awesome, Like I couldn't stop laughing after that. Like I remember I posted
Mm.
that clip over and over and over on my Facebook until it was time for me to wrestle again. And um, it was just the most amazing feeling in the world, getting in that square circle, getting to wrestle in front of those people. Like I thought the people would make me nervous. They only made me better. It just
Right.
made me like I just love wrestling in front of people. I don't care if it's 3 people. I don't care if it's 300 people. It could be 3,000 people. As long as somebody in that, it could be nobody at all. They could just look at me through the internet. I just like the feeling of wrestling. That's all I really
Right.
care about.
Right.
You
Right.
know, I just like to wrestle.
Yeah, and there's a philosophy, and it says you rock it, regardless if it's in front of 50 people or 50,000 people. You rock it like you're in front of 100,000 people. Um,
Exactly.
do you still get those butterflies, you know, coming to or right before you're about to come to the ring?
Yay and nay. I would say that I think the only time I really get butterflies is if it's my first time debuting at a promotion, then I get the
Mhm.
butterflies because I don't know how they're gonna react, when they see me. Because some guys see me as a face, some see me as a heel, but I can honestly say every time I debut somewhere, I'm instantly a face, except
Right.
for that one promotion where that one person they actually did cheer me when they saw me, and
Right.
it's this little girl and her father. They message me so much and they know I'm a bad guy, but she just in love with me every time. And I just be like, I can't it's so hard to break character for her. Like I'll be
Right.
like anytime I see her on the side of the ring, I just walk up and hug. Even though I'm a heel, well when I
Right.
see her, I'm
Right.
like I gotta hug her, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
that's all.
I've seen a few. I've seen a few of your matches. You're good. I mean, you are really, really good.
I appreciate
Um,
that, but I'm trying to get better.
well, I mean, obviously, I think this goes throughout any career that you're in. That if there's a time that ever comes that you don't think you can learn anymore or be any better, well, then it's time for that career to be over with.
Pretty
And it
much, yeah.
seems like you have that mindset of always wanting to get better, which is great. Question, and I love asking this question to everybody who is working on the independent scene. Um, if AEW, WWE, and let's throw in even TNA, I'll come at you at the same time, and all three of them offers you a contract. Who are you going with and why?
Ooh, uh, it's a funny question because I talked to everybody about this. This is just personally me speaking. Like I would probably go to TNA first. And the only reason why is because I feel like if I go to TNA, they will help me. TNA, I look at TNA as like after talking to Tommy Dreamer how TNA runs their business, I feel like it'd be perfect for I feel like indie wrestlers should go there first before they go
Right.
anywhere else. And the only reason why is because Tommy Dreamer said that when he was working for TNA, that they use wrestlers to help them build up character and help them build them up to become better, to make them become stars. And once they become stars, they want them to leave and become something else. And I looked at every single TNA person that left to go somewhere else, and they blew up after that. Like even when they went to WWE, I don't really care about
Mhm.
who was under. I don't care about who was under what
Right.
banishment. I don't really care about that. What I care about is the impact that they made once they debuted over there. Like, that's all I care about. Like, I will never forget when LA Knight went over to WWE and he just blew up instantly because everybody knew
Mhm.
him as Eli Drake from the
Right.
NWA from the dummy. Yeah. You know,
Right.
so I would love for that to be in WWE, but I know they're not going to do it because of the whole bully campaign. But and they don't want kids going around calling other kids dummies. So I know that's why they're never going to let him do it over there. But as far as like, I would like to go to TNA first, and the reason why I say it because I feel like WWE and AEW will both put me in the shuffle. People like to say AEW like to put wrestlers in situations, and they sign all these people, and they just like, we got all these, y'all got all these people over there, but you know, you guys know what to do with them. I feel like, well, WWE kind of does too. Yeah,
Right.
you know, and I just look at it like that. I don't look at it like what company is better. I
Right.
just look at it. I want to look at it better for what's for me. And
Right.
with TNA, I feel like TNA helped me get better at working on TV more because TNA is pre-recorded, and so you got to learn how to work the crowd a little bit more. You got to learn how to wrestle a certain amount of weeks ahead of time. And then I feel like also in TNA, while I'm wrestling for TNA, I can help myself if if I'm not booked for a little bit, I can go to I still get wrestle in the indies, still get my
Mhm.
name out there a little bit more, so work on myself, still get better. So when the time comes that I can go to AEW and WWE, I don't want to I don't
Right.
want to do the extra bookings anymore. I only want to
Right.
focus on those companies because they are the higher companies.
Right.
So that's how I look at it. I always looked at it like that of how I want to do my career because I always wanted
Mhm.
TNA to be my very first career I want to start off in. Like
Right.
my goal is, I mean, everybody's goal is to win a title and become in the Hall of Fame one day. I would love to see RBJ's name in the Hall of Fame one day and get inducted. But at the same, and I would love for Kenny King or Sim Bodie to induct me one day. That's one
Mhm.
of my biggest, dreams to see one of them induct me in the Hall of Fame one day. But I also look at it like, I I'm like I do want to go to a company that is the end goal, but I want to be so well known enough to the point that I don't want to just keep thinking about that. I want to get
Mhm.
to the point where if I know I can go somewhere, I can get there. You
Right.
know,
Right.
and
Right.
you know,
Yep.
so that's how I am right now.
So here's a question for you because you mentioned Tommy Dreamer, you mentioned Ricochet. Who else have you met that is either currently in the the one of the top three, or is someone who was in the top three? They're either a considered legend now, um, or they may not be in the Hall of Fame, but they're still well known. Um, so again, who else have you met in that status, and who have you learned the most from by having those conversations with them?
I would have to say as three people I would come to mind. Um, I feel like my coaches are included, but they're my
Mhm.
coaches. So
Right,
if you mean people who I met like outside of my coaches, I would
right,
say
right.
it's three. I would say three people. Speedball Mike Bailey,
Okay.
Rhino, and
Mhm.
Hammerstone. All three of those
Okay.
guys have gave me the best knowledge I've ever heard outside of like my coaches because I never forget Rhino and Hammerstone how I got really well with them. I can give you each point with both of
Sure.
them. I'm gonna start off with Hammerstone. No, I'm gonna start off with Rhino first. Rhino, I was doing valet for him. I had to go pick him up from the airport, take him
Mhm.
to his hotel, take him back to his hotel. He gave me his number, and I remember the last time I saw Rhino at TNA, he was like, "Hey, I heard you debut, man. Congratulations! I'm glad. Welcome to the business." And he was, because I told him how I was struggling about it, and he was telling me how he got into the business and how he had to do everything to get to what it is. And he was telling me it's a struggle. And I love Rhino ever since then because of that. My second one will have to be Hammerstone. Hammerstone gave me some really good knowledge because I'll never forget Hammerstone told me he used to drive an hour and some like 2 hours to a show just to see if he get booked and he never did. And the
Wow.
dedication that Hammerstone had for that just made me realize that, man, I don't need to be complaining about nothing because I'll never forget what made me tell Hammerstone this stuff was I thought that I wasn't being looked. And that was the
Mhm.
biggest issue I had in my wrestling school that I thought that the coaches and nobody was actually paying attention to what I'm doing. And I didn't care about want to be better than everybody. I just want to know if I'm getting better. That's all I cared about
Right.
was, am I if is RBJ getting better? Am I getting better? Because what happened was this one of my classmates, um, he came in after me, and the coaches was telling me that, he's ready to be on the show, he's this and that. And I remember Kenny King had this thing called TV class. And when you get picked on TV class pretty much means you get to have practice matches and they're recording your practice matches. And then you get to look at them and see where you're messing up at to get better.
Mhm.
And the practice match is pretty much teaching you how to wrestle on TV. And I remember one day that when that happened, I got in a car. I didn't even want to ring, and I drove home and I just started crying. I was like, "Am I actually getting better at this? Am I? What is wrong? Like, what is wrong with me? I really want to be good in the ring. I really want to become a wrestler. I don't know why I'm not where I'm at, And I was telling people, telling me start looking at other people's successes because everybody got different paths,
Right.
and it bothered me to the point because I've always been hard on myself, no matter what I do in life. When it came to basketball, video games, being a parent, I'm always hard on myself. And sometimes people tell me to stop doing that, but it's just that when I told Hammerstone this story, and Hammerstone was like, "Look, man, let me tell you something. You're a good kid. I like you. I think you're a really good wrestler. I mean, not really good wrestler. He didn't say that, yeah, but he was like, I think you're a really good person. You really have a really good personality. But I want you to know this: just because they don't say they're not looking, don't mean they are looking.
Right.
Just because they don't
Right.
say nothing, doesn't mean they're not looking." And he was like, keep doing what you're doing, keep paying your dues, to help out around the school, help out like you're supposed to, and eventually your time will come.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, thank you. I felt a little better after he told me
Right.
that because I get what he was saying. Because like this is a guy who looks like what would happen to Brock Lesnar and Triple H did the fusion dance in Dragon Ball Z. They come out and Hammerstone was created. So,
Right.
so I'm like, I'm looking at it like that, like, oh my God. So when I saw that, this coming from a guy, he telling me all his hardships, how he became a wrestler, and look where Hammerstone at now. And I'm just
Right.
like, okay, maybe he does have a point. And Mike Bailey, I learned so much from him because he had a seminar and his psychology, how he thinks in a ring, was just so amazing. I was just like, whoa. I know it made me open up how a match should be. It made me open up how wrestling should be. It just made me
Mhm.
open up about like how things could go to make a better show and how it should be. And ever since then, I felt like my matches, my career, my everything has just been better
Right.
because of that seminar. That seminar really helped my character become better and
Man,
helped me become better.
I tell you what, man. Damn it. I'm gonna have
Also,
to. I no no. I see. You're going to make me look at Mike Speedball differently
yeah,
because he is one. Look, he is great in the ring. He
yes,
really is, right? But his appearance, you know, distracts me from how good he is because I'm not a fan of his appearance, of his gimmick, and I'm
yeah.
sure it's just an opinion. Millions of people probably love the guy, but
Yeah.
now after you telling me that story about the things he said, how he helped you, I'm not to look at the guy differently now. you know.
Well,
um.
sometimes that happens. It is. I've been like that before, where somebody did something. I was like, think I gotta look at them differently. I can't look at them
Yeah.
the same anymore. So,
right.
so I get it.
So
I get it.
you know, and I think this next question fits in perfectly what we're talking about. Tell me about the worst match you've ever had. Now, I'm not talking about, necessarily you think people hated the match. I'm talking about you in your head thinking that this is the worst match you've ever had. And what did you do to make sure that you got better than what you were in that match or better than whatever issue you had with that particular performance?
Oh, perfectly. So my whole time since I've been a wrestler, before this match happened, I was always taught that you get in the ring and practice moves, that you can do these moves and you can perform them correctly and yada yada yada. So I was a rookie. I was still doing this, and I fought this veteran by the name of Steven Cesario. He's really good wrestler. I feel like he should be. He wrestles so many of the great. He wrestled Jacob Fatu, Darby Allen,
Oh wow.
all of these guys. He's so awesome. He's like so damn talented. And when I got in the ring with him, he had this gimmick character that he does. I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't want to. I don't want to. It's like a mass gimmick character. I don't want
Mhm.
nobody to know that's him under there, so I'm not
Right,
gonna say
right.
it. But I got a match with him, and he was the first time I got in a match with somebody when I didn't practice the move.
Mhm.
And it messed me up because I forgot how to do everything. The moment we got in the
Mm,
ring, I forgot everything because I never got in the ring and practiced and stuff.
right.
And I consider that, like, to this day I can't even watch that match. That's how
Mm,
bad it was. Like you got some of those. I got
right.
some of these matches where I can look at it, and some matches I'd be like, I don't want to look at it because I know how bad it was. Just I could just feel it. So even if I win or lost that match, it just feels bad. And so that match is probably one of my worst matches of all time, and he knows it is too. And we know it is. He knows it is. And it was just bad. It was just bad because I didn't know how to make up for things I didn't know. I didn't know how to make up for things because I was still a rookie. I was still new to this. But that match made me realize that, you don't always have to get in a ring to know what you're good at. You don't have to go in the ring and
Right.
practice that move if you know how to do it. And ever since then, I get in the ring with somebody and I call my batch. I'd be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This, and this. I always tell the person, what are you good at? The first thing I tell a wrestler before I get in the ring is, what are you good at? What are the
Right.
moves that you do? Tell me everything that you're good at, and we could find a way to put it at in a match. And who else taught me how? Danny Limelight is another guy that taught me how to do that. Danny Limelight taught me that. Funny Bone taught me that. A lot of wrestlers, ever since that match, was teaching me that this is the easiest way to call a match, so you will never have to be in that situation ever again. So that was
Right.
part of one of my worst matches of all time because of my psychology was so new that
Mhm.
made me learn how to be better at psychology. Because at first I was like, man, that really ain't no big of a deal. You can just go out there and practice a move. Who cares? But then when that happened, I was like, oh, I see why it's important now. So
Got it.
that's definitely that
Oh,
was the beginning of me learning how to be better in psychology.
so I
That was the
next I
beginning of
want
it.
to next I want to talk about your best match you think you ever had. But before we do this, I think we have a challenge, man.
Oh
Bullet,
wow.
who said he did love you, but he's now saying that you guys got to tie up, brother.
Oh yeah,
So
he knows. Oh, he knows.
if that program happens, man, you heard it first on Ring the
Okay.
Damn Bell. Just saying.
Hey, a bullet. You know what it is. You know what time it is. You know the catchphrase. RBJ is here to stay. So you know what's up.
There it is. We also have another viewer, Mark Ramsey Rambo, Mad Titan. Rambo said, RBJ just been falling into interesting coaching situations. Do you know what
Yeah.
that means?
Yeah, he's pretty much saying that, like, because he's like a friend of mine. He's pretty much saying that, like, everything I've been going through in my life, I've always told him what was going on. And so he's been there with me when I was, living in my car. He knew me when I lived in my car. He knew me when I was, living on somebody's couch and everything. I even lived on his couch. So
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
just it's just stuff like that. He's just happy to see me in a situation I am now in my life compared to where I were before and everything. He's
Right.
always had my back since day one. So shout out to Rambo for that one. And that's what he's pretty much. And he was also saying, like, the fact that I'm cool with some of these coaches that he's seen on TV or wrestling that he's seen that I actually know them.
Right.
I don't personally know some of them, but I personally know the ones that I talk about the most.
Right.
So
Right.
I could definitely say that. Yeah.
Right. So let's go back to your matches. What is your personal match that you think that thus far into your career, this was your best match, and what made it your best match?
I think so far it would have to be the match I had at the beginning in the first year of my career so far. I've won two titles, before. I've won a couple rivalry matches before, but this match in particular really set the tone for me and this other wrestler. Unfortunately, the other wrestler I'm mentioning, he's out of commission right now because he has health problems, but speedy recovery to him. His name is AJ Avon. Is We had a match. It was AJ Avon versus me, and it's this show we have in Vegas called Future Shock. Future Shock is like the NXT
Mhm.
of this promotion. That's where all the students who just started, they debut there, and a lot of people who debuted at and on TV, they started on there. So, and me, I'm at this match, and the reason why the match started because the storyline was he was valet for another wrestler you probably know by the name of Jay Vidal.
Yep.
He was his valet at
Okay.
the time, and so Jay Vidal had a match against also Nick Xander. So I had already wrestled. The promoter was like, "Hey, a situation happened where he didn't have a referee, so he was like, RBJ used to be a referee before. Can you ref this show? It would tell you what happened." So I referee this match. I referee the match, and Nick Xander hit him with his finisher. I go for the 1, 2. AJ comes in the ring, kicks me in the head. And I was like, "What the heck? What the heck? What the heck?" So the promoter was like, "RBJ, I'm gonna mention a storyline where you're gonna be like, you beat me. This guy kicked you in the head. You want your revenge, yada yada yada." So me and this guy were the rookies. We're rookies. We're both just starting out. He started off a year before me. I started off a couple months. No, he started off a couple months before I did. And so we both get in this match on this show, and the crowd behind us, the energy that we brought, the everything, it was just amazing. Me and him worked each other so well, and we never worked each other again. Like last time we worked each other again was like in a fatal four way in a tag match, but we never had a one-on-one match ever again. It's
Right.
because of personal reasons. But besides that, he's by far one of my favorite matches of all time, and I love that match to this day because it helped us. You could definitely tell the different characteristics of each other. You could tell that we both two different styles. We weren't the same style. He's gotten better over the time. I've gotten
Mhm.
better over the time. So I just look at it like that match kind of it set in my career further than what it should have been. And that match really proved to me that I really do belong in this business. And I really
Right.
do belong in it. I've gotten better and everything. The coaches loved it. The promoter loved it. The people in the people in Gorilla, they loved it. Everybody loved that match. And everybody felt like it should have been the main event that day. But it doesn't, sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't. So
Right.
it was really a really well experience to me. Like I love showing people that match. That's one of my favorite matches to show. Unfortunately, when I upload my matches on my YouTube channel, I don't post all of them publicly because sometimes the promoter doesn't want us to do that.
Mhm.
But the matches I do have on my page are free because I asked the promoter if it's okay. They said yes.
Right.
But most matches, I do have all my matches on my YouTube channel, but I can personally send them to people if they want to see it. If you ever want to ask me, hey, RBJ, where your matches at? I'll personally send you the playlist of all my matches. But
Perfect.
besides that, but that match for sure is on that playlist, and it's one of my favorite matches of all time. The energy, the excitement, the
Right.
the back and forth, the betrayal, the everything about that man. We had so much story told in that match that when the outcome came, it it felt organic and it was
Mhm.
amazing. And I just loved it about that match to this day. So that's one of my favorite matches to this day. And ever since that day, I try to make every match feel like that match.
Right. Right.
So
Well,
yeah.
man, look, unfortunately, we've run out of time, and there's so much more that I would love to talk to you about. So I want to officially already ask you to come back on the podcast if you like.
I
We'll
definitely
set
will.
up we'll set up some dates because look, I love really good, true, feel good, uplifting stories. And something that you mentioned that I didn't see in the research whenever I was, preparing for this podcast was about you being homeless because I was once there as well. And I know the mental block it could really be when you're trying to move your life even forward. I would love
Mhm.
for you to come back and talk about that. Talk about you being homeless and how overcoming, you know, your worst um your worst block, which is always our own selves mentally,
Yeah, yeah.
how you overcame that and got where you are at now. So I would love to have you come back on to tell that story because we're going to have people look at this podcast and listen to this interview. And it could be somebody who's homeless right now chasing their dreams. So I would love to have you come back on to talk
Thank you,
about
thank you.
that. Um, but for now, I want to end it with you telling everyone about your bookings, where they can see you coming up next, if you have any
Okay.
dates.
All right, yeah. So I just got back from North Dakota. This week I will be in Alabama. I'll be in Alabama and Russellville, wrestling for a promotion called Fearless Championship Wrestling. The week after that, I'll be in California wrestling 2 days. I'll be wrestling Saturday and Sunday. One is in Pecos, California, at a promotion called East Bay Pro. The other one is in Sacramento, called Supreme Pro Wrestling. That's to be the other day. And then after that, I don't know for sure next Friday. I don't know for sure on the 23rd if it's official yet. because of a situation going on with the promoter and some health issues. But I don't know about that one yet. And then the 31st of May, I will be in Mississippi. I would debut in Mississippi for the first time at a promotion called Omega Championship Wrestling. So those are all the dates you guys can catch me at for the next for the rest of the month. And I'm pretty much booked all this month, which is kind of amazing. I'm actually kind of happy that I'm booked that
Right.
much. But if it's just you catch me at those days. I'll post them on the internet if anybody want to see them again. My Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook. I post
Yeah.
them all on there if you guys are interested in
Yeah.
stuff.
And please feel free to always post your stuff on my page. My man, tag me. I'll put it up. I'm originally from Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
And there is a guy who's a referee who is actually another co-host on Tuesdays called George Strong. So and I know he does rough matches in Mississippi as well. If
Yeah.
you ever meet the guy, he's good. And there's another one by the name of Preston Bentley. I think he goes by. Very, very good friend of mine. Same thing. He wrestles in Mississippi, Louisiana.
Okay.
So good people. But yeah, get a hold of me, man, so we can put you back on the books. I'm also booking into June now.
Okay.
So I would love to have you come back on. Guys, don't forget that tomorrow night, myself, the wrestling enthusiast, Mark, the Hall of Famer, Bob Cook, and one hell of a referee, George Strong, will be doing a review of Monday Night Raw. Uh, Check us out. We go on live at 7:30 p.m. at Central Time. If you are in the area that you have RBJ Wrestling, go check him out, guys. I'm telling you, I've watched a few of his matches, and he is good. He really is really good. Until you come on again, RBG. Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm
You're
really
welcome, man.
had a great time talking to you.
Thank you,
I
sir.
think that you are a great human being. I think you have the right attitude that would be surprised me that the next couple of years or so, I turn on my TV. Now I'm going to be able to say, hey, look at this guy on AWWW TNA. I interviewed him. So
Thank
I
you, man.
think you have
Thank
the
you. I
potential. I
appreciate
really
that.
do. So until tomorrow night, guys, you guys have a great Monday. RBJ, again, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, sir. You have a good one, man,
You
KG.
too.